What is going on, guys? My name is Ben. How are you guys doing today? What I have for you today in this video, as you can tell from the title, is doing a recap of Google I/O's conference. Now, I'm filming this after I watched the event. Well, a few hours after I watched the event. And excuse me, you see me looking at my iPhone because I got all my notes down here. Now, Google started off the conference just like Apple does by bragging about themselves, how many devices they sold, all that. But I'm just going to skip all that because there is a lot of stuff to cover about Google I/O today, and it's too much. So I'm going to try to do this without making it too long. So first thing that Google talked about was Google Play services. Good. Now they have Google Maps Android API version 2, so that's the second version, and they announced two new APIs, or a few new APIs, which is Fuse Location Provider, Geofencing, and Activity Recognition. And one of the services that they talked about was Google Plus Sign In. And with Google Plus Sign In, it's basically where you download an app. Let's say if you were in the Chrome web browser on your desktop or your laptop, and you download an app, it downloads to all your devices. And they have this thing called Google Cloud Messaging. Now, they already announced this from what they've said. I believe they said last year or something, but it's been out already. And what have they done with Google Cloud Messaging now? Well, they did persistent connection, which is basically where you send a message from the server and then it goes to Google and then it goes to the device that you were sending it to. So pretty much Google is keeping track of your messages. And then you have upstream messaging as well as synchronized notifications for you. Now let's talk about Google Play game services. Now, before I go on with the notes, Google Play game services is, think of it as Game Center for iOS devices. That's what it is, because a lot of people like gaming, and most of us are gaming with our mobile devices. They have this thing called Cloud Save, which basically just saves your status of your game, and then you can play it on any device from where you left off. So for instance, let's say if I had a Nexus 4 or a Galaxy S4, and I play a game and then I saved at one point, then I can just pick up my tablet, or in this case the Nexus 10 if I wanted to, and then just play from where I left off, and then you are good to go. They also have this thing called achievements, leaderboards, and now they started to talk about Android Studios, which is basically an IDE for building apps, and this is based on IntelliJ. Alright, and it's basically where developers are able to create applications without putting too much effort into it. I don't know how that's going to work out. They also have, they talked about Google Play Developer Console. They mentioned some new things for this thing. They have optimization tips, app translation services, and the translations are directly in it. You have usage, metrics, and referral trackings, which is where it tells you how many people use apps, and then it gives you revenue graphs, which basically shows you, if you're a developer, how much money you're making, beta testing, and stage rollouts. And now they're talking about Google Play. And if you guys don't know, Google Play is basically Google's store, Google's app market, Google's online store. So Google Play is where you buy your devices such as the Nexus 4, the Nexus 10, and the Nexus 7. And what have they announced for Google Play? Well, first of all, it got completely redesigned. It got a new redesign, so that way it's easier for you to find apps, plus it rolls out to all playouts. Now they started talking about this Google Play Music thing called All Access. All Access, this pretty much has something to do with music. And you can browse your music, you can see what will play next by swiping. So let's say if you were playing a song over the radio, and you're currently playing a song and you want to see what song's going to be playing next, all you have to do is swipe it to the left, and then you can see what song is going to be playing next. Alright, you have Listen Now, and Listen Now is basically where you can just play the music without having to go on and find it. Google is trying to create this thing where they know what kind of music you want to listen to, and then they'll just play whatever you want. And it has a personalized recommendation, and this is a paid service. So it's $9.99 a month with a 30-day free trial. And you start a trial by June 30th. You'll only have to pay $7.99 a month, which isn't too bad. Now they talk about the Samsung Galaxy S4. Now you guys are probably like, why would Google talk about the Samsung Galaxy S4 as Samsung announced it themselves back at New York? At the Radio Music City Hall, or whatever the place was called, I forgot. Well, that is a good question. Well, they already know that the Galaxy S4 was announced. But one thing I'm excited about the Galaxy S4 that's making me really wanting to get it more, instead of the HTC One, even though the HTC One is very nice, is that the Galaxy S4, they showed it running Android 4.2 stock. It wasn't TouchWiz or anything. It was just pure Android. Their operating system, the operating system they put in their Nexus devices, you were able to play with that on the Galaxy S4, and it's available through the Google Play Store directly. And now they're going to be selling a Samsung Galaxy S4 on the Google Play Store with T-Mobile and AT&T, and it's going to have LTE bootloader unlocked, so this phone is unlocked. And they're going to start selling these on June 26th for $649. Now that's a downside. You're going to be paying $649 for a phone that you really want with pure Android, but that's expensive. But I think that's only for the unlocked model. So they finished talking about Android, as you can see, 6 minutes, and now they're going to talk about Google Chrome. 750 million users are using it, and they started showing these demonstrations in a conference, and I couldn't catch what it was called, but they were showing that you can play games online. So if you were to go to a certain website and just basically play online games over there, you can do that on your Android device as well. In this case, they were showing it on a tablet. And they announced this thing called VP9, which basically makes the video smaller as well as making the bandwidth smaller. And you can purchase things, and it's on all devices. Very cool. And they talked about education, and what they did was that they designed like part of the Google Play Store just for education. From what I've seen, like they took one part of the Google Play Store and just created it into an education spot. And with this education spot, you can find educational apps, and the apps download on all devices. You can buy apps as a purchase order without the need of credit cards. So let's say if there was a school who uses all Android devices. Now normally if you were to purchase an app that requires money, you know the deal. You gotta bust out your credit card and then give them your credit card number. But individual teacher isn't going to do this for every time for their students, just because the school's responsible for it. So you can purchase as many as you want, and then it'll process it as a whole school order, which is very neat. I wonder why I haven't seen Apple do something like that so far. Maybe they did, but I just never caught it. And where am I? Oh, here they are. And this is going to launch in the fall. And however, Google is accepting app submissions right now. So if you're a developer, go ahead and submit it. And they had like a huge investment in Malaysia for 10,000 schools, and they're basically improving the education in Malaysia. And you guys don't know, Malaysia is a country, and they're doing this by providing schools with Chromebooks, which is actually pretty cool of them, pretty nice of them. Alright, so that's Chrome. Now they talked about Google Plus, and you guys know me, I've never used Google Plus before. I don't even have a Google Plus account, but after seeing what the changes they made on Google Plus today, I started to understand a little bit more, and it makes me want to create an account. We'll see what happens. So they announced this thing called Stream, and it's basically redesigned, and it has image analysis, and it's basically where they'll automatically put a hashtag depending on what's in your photo. In this case, they were showing a demonstration of a photo of a person, and the Eiffel Tower from France was in the background, and the user didn't put the hashtag Eiffel Tower in their picture. Now, what did Google do? They examined the picture and analyzing it, and then automatically put the hashtag for them. That's awesome, but at the same time, that's a concern. But then again, that'll be in my thoughts video later. Alright, another thing they announced for Google Plus was Hangouts. Now they got this new Hangouts app, and it's also available for iOS today if you guys want to download it. And it's got a new icon. It's on it's on the website, of course. It's on Android and iOS, like I mentioned. And now you can do group video calling, so you can have multiple people on one video call. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool if you ask me. And it's no charge. It's completely free. Google, you're amazing. And let's talk about photos. So they had this data Saturn right here, and it's where you can store your photos in a certain cloud storage, I'm assuming. And originally they had 5 gigabytes, and now they bumped it up to 15 gigabytes. Cool. And Google can pick the best photos for you. Now, the way they demonstrated this is they were taking a look at some photos, whether it's blurry or if it's overexposed or underexposed, and it's basically where they take all the best pictures that you have from their point of view, from what they've seen in the pictures, and then they automatically put it together for you, and then they'll like change it up a little bit to make it look nice. And from the way they did it, they did a pretty good job, which is also known as Auto Enhance. They also announced this thing called Auto Awesome, and it gives you photos that you don't have. So an example they had was like there were little kids that were taking a picture and they weren't looking at the camera, and then what Google will give you is a picture where they actually look at the camera. Now they talked about Google Search, and it's a search engine for those of you that don't know, which yeah, I won't go there, I'm sorry guys. And they announced this thing called Answer, and it's basically where not only does it shows the answers to your questions, but also compare it to other things. So if you wanted to search the US population, which is the example they had, and then they'll answer your question. Not only that, but they'll compare the US population to other countries such as like China, Italy, France, London, or I mean not London, UK, Germany, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, all that other countries. And it has knowledge graph support, and the knowledge graph can now support 4 new languages, which is Polish, Turkish, Simplified, and Traditional Chinese. Cool. Now they announced a thing called Converse, and it basically just comes to, they announced that this thing's going to come to all desktops and laptops through Chrome. Now, what I mean by this is, if you guys know Google Now, Google Now is amazing, and now it'll be coming to desktops and laptops through the Chrome web browser. That's awesome, Google. And they announced another thing called Anticipate, and they announced new cards, reminders, music, albums, video games, etc. And you can ask Google Now questions. Well, you can already do that right now, but you can do more with it. And you can have Google Now to help you send emails to people as well as set reminders. Kind of similar to what you get on Siri with the Reminders app and when sending an email. Now, the last thing that they talked about, and this was one of my favorite parts besides all the Android ones, because I love Google Maps. Yes, they talked about Google Maps. They made some huge improvements, and I am very excited. I can't wait for this summer to play around with it. Websites, and that there are multiple websites that are integrating Google Maps into their website. So they're pretty much adding Google Maps into their website. And they're getting more people on Google Maps on other websites versus their own Google products, which is surprising. But then again, how long are you guys on Google's website each day? not that long unless you're doing a school project for searching stuff. Now Google Maps has a new design, and this has a new 5-point rating scale, so you can rate a place from a 1 to 5 scale, and now they got a new scale for that. And it's featured by Zagat, however that's pronounced, which reviews restaurants. Zagat is a reviewer where they review restaurants, and if you were to look at recommendations, you can definitely look at Zagat, which is spelled as Z-A-G-A-T. Not sure how to pronounce it. And you guys know Google Maps, you can actually get traffic updates or just see the conditions of the road. Now you actually get live coverage from incidents. That's exciting to me because they announced this thing called the dynamic routing, which it warns you. Like, let's say you have Google Maps on your Android phone, or in this case iOS device, and you have it mounted on your windshield, and then you're driving, and then you're letting it tell you the route. Well, Google Maps can now warn you about what's coming, and then it suggests to you to take this certain route. Amazing. And not only that, but they created a tablet maps experience. So they basically just created a dedicated Google Maps application for tablets, and I'm surprised they were using an iPad to demonstrate this. Where's your Nexus 10, Google? And you can also see inside the building. So let's say if I was looking at the Empire State Building or something, or I was searching up a restaurant, now you can actually click on Street View and take a look at inside the restaurant or inside the Empire State Building, and that's pretty neat. And this is going to come on both OSs this summer, both iOS and Android. Alright, and not only that, but this will also show unimportant streets. So I just found out that there are certain streets on Google Maps where they don't label the street name. Why is that? Because it's not that important, but it's important for the building that you are going to, because if you can't see the street name where the building is at, then you're not going to be able to navigate over there. You'll have to find it yourself manually, or in this case, do it the old-fashioned way. Stop and ask for directions on where to go. And you have this thing for Schedule Viewer, which is basically used for public transits if you were to take public transportation. And you have this 3D view. This is going to be exciting. One thing I never liked about Apple's Maps for iOS 6 was their 3D view. I felt that it was cheesy, and I couldn't even get the 3D view. Maybe it's because I'm using the iPod. Maybe I have to use the iPhone 5. I don't know. We'll see. And not only that, you have real-time clouds. So when you are zooming out, taking a look at the whole entire planet Earth, you can see the clouds actually moving because it's real-time clouds. Amazing. Not only that, but when you turn the Earth around, you can see when it's nighttime and daytime. So in this case, right here where I live is around 8:43 p.m. at night, and if I were to zoom out from my location, turn the Earth around, and then go into China, then right now in China it'd be 8:34 in the morning, or 8:44 in the morning, excuse me. And that's pretty neat, because if you ever think about going to another country, you can actually see what time it is currently, so that way you're aware of, okay, how many hours fast is that particular country, comparing it to my location. So that is it. That is all that I have for the Google I/O conference recap. What do you guys think about Google I/O? Were you excited? Not excited? Were you disappointed that you didn't see any new devices or Android Keyline Pie? A lot of people were saying that they're probably going to stick with Jelly Bean, and it looks like they are going to stick with Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, or unless they do 4.3, or if there was something I missed in the conference, I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and for anybody that's at the Moscone Center in San Francisco right now, hopefully you guys enjoy the next few days that you are at Google I/O, and hopefully you got that Chromebook Pixel that they gave away to you all, for those of you that went to the conference. And even though I'm not a big fan of Chromebooks, I would like to be there to get one anyway, because it's a free computer. I'm just kidding, I'm not like that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.